So I have an invitation for you. I'm in the mood to talk with a wide variety of people. I got a lot of questions about the universe, and I've got thoughts to offer, and I like bouncing ideas around. So I'm going to do a podcast where I'm going to search. I'm going to search on Google a subject line that a video would have on your channel. And I think the subject line could be like, I want to be on Brian Fay's podcast. I want to be on Brian Fay's podcast. Boom. You make a video named that. I will Google it. I will find it. If I feel like it, if I feel like talking to anybody at all, I will look down the list of Google results until I find somebody I haven't talked to that I feel like talking to. It's going to be a very intuitive process of whatever my mood is and whether that person's video talks about things I care about, And it could be that someone disagrees with me and wants to talk to me. Maybe I'll be in the mood for that. I don't know. I'd rather everybody be really nice in any case. I don't waste my time on people who are rude. And I try and be as polite, even though I have extremist views, I try and be as polite as I can to everyone I can. And I, rarely fail. So, but also people who have perspectives that are more advanced on some of the topics I'm interested in. And because I know a lot about a lot of things. And my primary thing I try and do is synthesize those together. And I guess I want to take my own synthesis of a particular topic and combine that with somebody who knows more than I do about one or more of those topics and can take me and you coming along to mix those ideas together and wonder about what systems can work for us in the world, whether it's the social systems, technology, architecture. I've got my list posted of the things I'm interested in. Now, I might see somebody, you could make a video. Let's say you're an applicant. You're going to apply to be on Brian Fay's podcast. What a dumb name for a podcast. On the other hand, it's a good name for it because that's what it'll be. And I'll just then invite people on. I think one-on-one is going to do really well for me. I think that having sidekicks, people who, I've got 4 spots in the conversation. And so if they could also bring a friend if they wanted to, that'd be fine if they wanted to. But I think that the main focus, I want to pick one person to talk to, and I would like the other two to only interject. It's an inherently imbalanced structure, I realize, of a conversation. But I like the idea of that because a 2-person podcast is really great. Other people could chime in if they know information that we're glossing over it and we're using a term people might not know. I've done that in podcasts where I've talked to somebody, they start using a term I know that they know that, and they know that I know, and we're just going to use it. And I interrupt the conversation and I pause them for you, those of you who don't know the word, to bring you up to speed on using that particular word. And if I'm using it wrong, someone will correct me too, so that's fine too. But I want to increase everybody's vocabulary because I think language is so absolutely important in us getting together. Not just like English, Spanish, which of course I've talked about on videos, and I want to get everybody speaking English and Spanish. It'd be really fun. But even within knowing our own languages, I find that on both sides of the border, people use the language incorrectly. In my case, I only know people using it incorrectly because I read Spanish books, and I also realize the difference between what is taught and what is colloquial. And I'm totally great with colloquial language. I love it. I do not expect people to speak like English or Spanish textbooks. That would be really boring and dumb. However, when people are making needless misspellings or it's very difficult, they're basically illiterate. Their illiteracy is very high here. And so written communication is unfortunately not as available if you can't read. And written communication is the fastest way to get great information right now. YouTube is actually doing really well as well. And I think that you could easily make outlines and then fill it in with lessons drawn from YouTube. And I could actually do that on something like water catchment or something better yet that I don't know about. Like I could just say, okay, I want to know everything about burros. I've already spent probably 20 hours looking at burros stuff online. And how I would like to save burros. I mean, they have burro save project things. I don't want to save a bunch of them, but I want to have one genetic example of a happy burro family with occasional genetic injections to keep continuing to be healthy and happy through the generations to come. And I want them to walk around and I want them to eat the brush where I don't want brush. I'm going to use them as fucking lawnmowers. And then sometimes I might use them to carry stuff, and they're very useful for that. We should not lose them out of the society I mean, cars are going to become more expensive, and burros might be a really literally green-powered transportation system for your goods. Now, it may be hard for you to imagine that right now, but I can see the future pretty well. And to be honest, even if there was infinite energy forever and everything was fine in the future and a bunch of stuff I say is ridiculous, I just really think burros are awesome. I love the human-horse partnership, but I don't want a horse. I like walking. I'm going to be a good walker for a long time. If somebody else wants to ride horses around, more power to them. I see them all the time in town. I see little kids on horses. That's pretty cool. But I think having burros is great. I'm not going to ride a burro. I do have some burro decisions. These are some of the things I need to learn about. Are what burro would I raise? And I'll tell you why, and it will all make sense to you. Number one is get the best kind of burro, and then breed that. It might be a jack. I think it has some other adjective on there. They're generally often coming from the United States. You can see them on Mercado and Nuncio, where they're sold there. Tempting. There's burros all around the lake here in different towns. Some of them have more than others. The one just right over there, the next town over, is kind of famous for having more than normal. That's awesome. So I could get to know those burros. I could stop, especially if there was a dude with a burro, or more than one burro, or burros and a horse, or whatever. There's usually dogs. And if I have like some fruit in the car, or carrots, I could actually talk to these guys. Everybody around here is pretty damn friendly whenever I talk to them. And I could ask them about the burro. A lot of these guys are not in a big hurry, so if I give him, if I ask him if I can give his burro a carrot or something, then I could talk about burros with him and ask him like, well, how does that work here? And what's a big burro in this pack and little burro? How often do they make babies? And I've already read about these things. I am not a person who asks dumb questions, and a dumb question is one where you waste a teacher's time because you didn't learn the basics. And I have access to the most sophisticated learning machine in the world, the internet. So I'm not going to waste some dude's time in a little town asking dumbass questions at all. So I'll know the answers to a lot of those questions. What I'm looking for is like what are his burros like, and then also if he knows of any other places that have different kinds of burros, because he's been in the burro business, having burros for a while. And I could go with coloration. I do tend to like animals that are very distinctive in their coloration. I have a specific preference for that. I believe it makes the animal more distinctive to someone who doesn't know them well. Just like I like it that all my dogs look different right now. Even when I had all black dogs, they looked different. There was different sizes and different shapes of face, and you could get to know them pretty quick. But at first, they just looked like a big pack of black dogs. So I like that's why I like black and white dogs too. Although any kind of different dog style is interesting. But burros, many of them look similar. And I guess what I'd want to do is find a breed that would mix and match a lot genetically and cause patterns to occur that cause them to be as distinctive as possible. Now that might seem like a really weird, picky thing to do. Like why wouldn't I breed bigger burros or smaller burros or friendlier burros? Well, I would still want to breed for that because I like friendly burros. There's so many attributes, for hair length or whatever. It's because that aesthetic is so, I think it changes the relationship of people who don't have animals. It changes the relationship of them to that animal. It causes it to be an individuated relationship. If every day when they're here, they go up to a distinctively colored burro, and that burro learns that person gives that burro a carrot, that burro will come over to that person and say hi. And both the burro and the person will have had a much better day because of it. I like that plan a lot. And so in a sense, you're using them as a pet burro. Now, is that dumb? Decadent? Sure, let's go with that. I like that idea. Sure. Having any domesticated animal is a huge amount of work and a massive responsibility and should not be done just to have some, distinctively patterned burro being a cute thing for people. But I believe that the better that the human and burro relationship is, the more that this burro sees the person as a source of fun and games, just like a dog wants. When you're around the humans, you have a good time. That's the goal. Now, we could just let them sit out there in the pasture. That's fine, and I'm perfectly happy doing that. I'd like to bring them around on a leash, and maybe 1, 2 at a time, and have places along roads that we can actually tie burros up and they cut the brush back. Because if we don't do that, then we're going to have to cut it back. And the burros can eat for free. This means you have to have a burro herder, and that person might be kind of bored. But those burros got to be moved regularly. You got to watch out for rain. And we would have very specific spots to put them, and like trees that with a marking I think would be easiest, where you can just lasso them around that mark on the tree, and it's a burro parking station for an area that we want to keep clear of plants at that time for some reason. And then there's the question of water. They got to be watered. We just have to calculate how much do they need and make absolutely sure that a minimum of twice a day they have access to really great water. And I want them to drink the most in the morning. I want them to drink right away in the morning. As soon as the sun comes up, I want donkeys drinking water, trained to drink it. And they've got it available then, and they don't always have it available. And then you take them out of there and you put them into another spot. A whole grove of trees. And you can have water systems there too, but I want to control their water, because that's also a way to get them to go different places. So you can imagine various courtyards in kind of a burro management system. Now, right now, that seems like overkill, doesn't it? I'm just talking about getting, I guess right now, if I was able to get a burro, I would want to get one youngish male that was already known for being very friendly and nice. Maybe even one who I got to visit at his house, maybe before he was even born. Like get to know a pregnant burro in Oricho or somewhere around here where there's a good breed that has nice qualities I like. Now, the reason I'm mentioning all these local places instead of the ones up there are because that's far away. And so I'm not going to pay a lot for that. I like the idea of smaller beings. I don't want a horse. If I wanted a horse, I'd get a horse. And I realize that one of these big burros is not a horse, but I like the smallness of burros. I do. And I would rather, if I had a choice of having like 3 large burros or 5 small burros, I would want 5 small burros. It's less total weight that I have to feed. The thing I'm using them for, I'm not really focused on using them as pack animals, but they would work just fine as pack animals too. The load would just be a little less, and you could train them for that too, and they should be trained as pack animals. They should completely be trained as pack animals, but we'd have to get a lot better. We would need really good packs on them that were really comfy, and it would be kind of fun. I mean, you could walk into town and instead of taking the van, you could pick up avocados, you could pick up stuff out of the truck, and if you brought 4 burros, let's just say 4 burros you brought, that would actually be a truckload of produce you could buy. And it's just over there in Yotatira. It's close by. The burros would have a good time. And you would give them snacks, of course, since you're buying, exactly what they want. You'd buy them carrots or something, probably. You could also test burros, different types of food, see what they do. I don't know anything about burros, except that they're cute. And then you could walk them back here, and there'd be a van load. And that would be not wasting any gasoline, no wear and tear on the vehicle. In fact, the vehicles would improve. And then you would try and keep it to probably 1 male and 3 females would be max. At first, I would just want 1 young male, 1 young female, and I want that female to have just had babies. So I want babies that are here, and I have to have this infrastructure completely rock solid. Like I need to have, it's not that hard, okay? It's very easy. But I want it to be better than good. I want it to be like the best, coolest place, easy to clean out, the right humidity, easy to clean out shit, because they're going to have a sleeping spot that's covered. I'm not going to have animals out under a tree. I'm not going to have animals out in the rain. I know that a lot of them can take it. I understand that. But if I'm going to invite these animals into my home, I'm going to treat them as very respectable, great beings. I wouldn't be getting burros if I didn't have this massive admiration for their whole attitude, their toughness, their intelligence, their ability to work with us. Canines are one thing. I'm used to canines. What do you call horses? Equines or something? I don't know. I never had one, so it doesn't matter. But the number of people you'd have to have here to make burros work out would be more than now. For me, it would just be this massive other chore that I'm already chored up, just surviving. But I can build fenced areas, and luckily I can build barbed wire fence areas quite cheaply. I can actually grow them as cedars, and I'm doing that. I'm planting lines of trees in places as best I can where I'm not sure why. I'm making green walls that will later on be useful in many cases. Now, in some cases, I'm building them exactly like I want them. But whatever works out in a spot really seems to vary. Like bamboo works in some places. I have a clumping bamboo. Cedar works well if you want a living barbed wire fence post. In this case, they would need a barbed wire fence post, and I would make them a very good one. And they need a shed that is approximately the size of the carpinteria, and then they need parts of that get adobe'd in. They need solar lighting, probably a remote system, and they don't need a lot, but you should be able to get in there with light really easily. And it'd be really ideal if we could actually have them on the full electrical system here. So I'm not sure where to put them. It is tempting, for the moment, to put them in Lower Alicante. Why? Because you could have a trail, two trails. One trail that goes outside along the bottom of it, and one trail that goes inside through it. So there'd be a double gate on two sides of it. I'm not sure how this would work out. But the point is you're blocking off a really important area, and you're changing it if you were to stick these animals in there. And I'm not sure how it would turn out. You'd want to watch them a lot. It's a lot of work to put the fence up. It's tricky, very tricky proposition. We need to consider, like, all the place we could put a burrow. I've never had to think about this before, so I got some brainstorming to do. And then put them there. And what's interesting is it doesn't have to be flat land. I should ask about that also online. But I might be able to use land that wasn't useful for something else, that I wanted to get cleared anyway, that I don't mind fertilizer being added to, and as a starter building, the carpinteria would be great to have there. So there's a bunch of weird requirements on this spot, because remember, this might not be a burrow place forever. This might be part of changing part of the system. I changed the dimple years ago after the pine beetle plague. What if now it's kind of far out, so I don't want to go down there. It's too far away, maybe for now. But my gosh, what a great area that would be for them. They would love it. Another option would be to put them in a fenced area on the other side of the barranca on the far side. And that is an area where, here we're doing it by hand. We're cutting the lower branches on this grove. And there we could actually see what would happen if we were to fence in an area. And I know places we could try. It's a big area, so we can just make a small enough area for them. Stick in that carpinteria building. I think that's important for their care. We need hay for them and things like that. We need to really do a good job taking care of these guys. It could be that half of the porch we use as a staging area for us and certain other things, and then they just have that one outer part, and then we enclose that however we like, whatever works. It should be nice and dry. The thing is, around here, I've been to many, many animal housing things in people's houses. A lot of times it's just a fucking roof and a hole in the ground, or a little spot in the ground. It's nothing. And so animals around here stereotypically don't have very nice houses. I would like to baby them up a little bit. I want to ideally put this in a spot where I have pretty easy access to water, although I can always take them somewhere else and wash them. That would be fine. But I do want to be able to wash them up. I want to, because these are, especially as I have people, like coming here as like a participant, I really want them to have relationships with not just trees, but also any kind of wildlife that I can that they've never had before. I want to directly bring together the natural world, the domesticated world, and the humans together and see what our relationship looks like in a variety of configurations. I know that might sound like a weird idea, but it's a lot better than a zoo. I really don't like zoos. I don't think the animals want to be there. Now, there might be exceptions, and I'm not a zoo expert, but I've never had a good association with that word. I know Woodland Park Zoo in Seattle really tries hard to be great. I'm sure there's other ones. I have mixed thoughts. I'm not, just one view guy. There's safaris you can go on. Sometimes the animals are open range and the people are in the vehicles. If you don't bug them, that's ideal, I think. There's a place in Oregon, I believe, where there's a safari you can go on. And it is fenced, but it's fenced big enough that I'm not sure the animals know they're trapped. They might. They're not dumb. But it's a very different thing than them in a barred thing and getting hosed down in a zoo. So it's just a different concept. Here, as I think about the idea of bringing people and animals together, my first thought is security, as it often is. And there are diseases that animals have that people don't but can get. Wow, there's a really big spider crawling over there. It looks different than the other ones. Huh. Wonder if I should be scared of it. Oh no, I'm very scared. Oh, I'm over it now. My God, it's huge. It's a tan color. They're never tan colored. This is where I need that backup button to give me the last 5 or 10 seconds because I got distracted. And the feature of the camera should be just right on there, right big on the screen somewhere right now. Push that and I get to go back 5, 10 seconds and then I get to continue. And I hit go when I'm ready. It shows up back on pause. I can pause it. That's a flaw in the camera. I'm the client. I know what I want. If you do it and then you advertise for that, then what you're doing is you're allowing vloggers like me to make more fluid clips even when they're distracted or something, like by a big spider or something. And so if you make that feature, you could sell that feature. And many people just like me in this exact kind of situation I'm in exactly right now would say thank you. And so if you're an engineer who's doing any designing on the software, the hardware of these cameras, or if you're a marketing person who's interested in making really great market-changing cameras that serve people really well, then you should listen to everything I think about what I need. Because I'm living in a very unusual situation. I have very unusual views. I have a testing background. I have a critical mind. I use cameras a lot. I publish a lot of videos. I've been doing photography all my life. And so my thoughts about camera design matter to me. And they matter to you because you can sell a lot more cameras. Because right now the vlogging market's confused. Your camera's confused. No offense. This is your, what's it called? Zoom camera, not Zoom the webcam thing. It's called Zoom camera. They've got great audio. Everything's great. They got multiple problems with it. It is slow in many ways. And then there was another one, Vixia Mini X, which had great features and I loved them. And I'd like to take both those cameras and almost stick them together. I wonder what that would look like. And then wonder what I'm forgetting because I have criticism of both those cameras. So if you're the company named Zoom, feel free to contact me. I will tell you everything I know in private, or I will make a video telling you what I think you should do, but that would also tell those ideas to your competitors. So anyway, I'll still shill for your camera. I'll still say it's a great camera. It's the best one I have at the moment. And it's better than a phone camera, in my opinion, in a variety of ways, wide variety of ways. So yay for Zoom. And whatever else I was talking about before, I'll talk about some other time, I guess.